Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into some of the most mind-blowing and controversial theories of the 20th century. We're talking about the kind of stuff that keeps you up at night, questioning everything you thought you knew about the world. Buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride. From government cover-ups to secret societies, we're going to unpack 10 of the most debated conspiracies that still spark heated arguments today. Did the government orchestrate 9/11? Was the moon landing a hoax? Did Hitler escape to Argentina? We're about to find out. Stick with me as we separate fact from fiction, analyze the evidence, and explore the motivations behind these captivating theories. You might just start questioning everything you thought was true. Get ready to have your mind blown. All right, let's kick things off with a bang. The 9/11 attacks, a day etched in our collective memory. But what if the official story isn't the whole truth? The 9/11 Truth Movement argues that elements within the US government either knew about the attacks beforehand or, even more chilling, orchestrated the whole thing. Think about it, the collapse of the Twin Towers resembling a controlled demolition, the Pentagon being hit, the most heavily guarded building in the world. And then there's Flight 93, supposedly brought down by heroic passengers, but with debris scattered over a suspiciously wide area. Coincidence, or something more sinister? Proponents of this theory point to the Bush administration's ties to the oil industry, suggesting a motive for invading oil-rich countries like Iraq. They question the official narrative, claiming inconsistencies and unanswered questions. Was it really just 19 guys with box cutters, or were there darker forces at play? Now, the government vehemently denies these claims, and many people dismiss them as disrespectful to the victims. But the sheer volume of unanswered questions continues to fuel the fire of this conspiracy. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What really happened on that fateful September morning? The Cold War. Decades of tension and paranoia. A nuclear standoff between superpowers. But what if it was all a giant charade? Some theorists argue that the Cold War was a carefully crafted illusion, a way for the US and the Soviet Union to maintain control and justify massive military spending. Think about it, both sides benefited from the perceived threat of the other. It fueled the military-industrial complex, justified government surveillance, and kept the public in a state of fear. Was it all a big act to keep the world in check? Proponents of this theory point to the lack of direct conflict between the two superpowers. Sure, there were proxy wars, but no all-out nuclear annihilation. They argue that the Cold War was a way for the elites in both countries to consolidate their power and control the global narrative. Now, this theory requires a massive leap of faith. To believe it, you'd have to accept that both sides were in on it, from the leaders down to the intelligence agencies. But it's a mind-blowing concept, isn't it? A world stage carefully manipulated by unseen puppet masters. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind, or was it one giant leap for Hollywood? The moon landing, a pinnacle of human achievement, but some believe it never actually happened. They claim it was all filmed on a soundstage, a staged event to win the space race against the Soviets. Think about it. The waving flag in a vacuum, the lack of visible stars in the photos, the shadows that seem to fall in the wrong direction. These inconsistencies, however small, have fueled skepticism for decades. Proponents of this theory argue that NASA, under immense pressure to beat the Soviets, resorted to faking the landing. They point to the technological limitations of the time, suggesting it would have been impossible to pull off such a feat. Now, the scientific community overwhelmingly dismisses these claims. The evidence for the moon landing is overwhelming, from lunar samples to independent verification from other countries. But the conspiracy persists, fueled by distrust in authority and a desire to believe in something extraordinary. Chapter 4. The Philadelphia Experiment, Teleportation, or Tall Tale. Now we're getting into some seriously weird territory. The Philadelphia Experiment, a tale of teleportation, invisibility, and terrifying consequences. The story goes that in 1943, the US Navy conducted a top-secret experiment on the USS Eldridge, attempting to make it invisible to radar. But something went horribly wrong. The ship didn't just disappear from radar, it vanished completely, teleporting from Philadelphia to Norfolk, Virginia, and back again in a matter of minutes. Sailors on board were said to have suffered horrific side effects. some fused to the metal of the ship, others driven mad. Proponents of this theory point to strange occurrences surrounding the USS Eldridge and its crew after the alleged experiment. They claim the Navy has covered up the truth, silencing witnesses and destroying evidence. Now, the Navy denies any such experiment took place, and there's no concrete evidence to support the story. But the tale of the Philadelphia experiment has captured the imagination, inspiring books, movies, and endless speculation about the limits of science and the dangers of messing with forces we don't understand. Chapter 5. The Montauk Project, Mind Control and Time Travel on Long Island. Hold on to your hats, folks, because this one's a doozy. The Montauk Project, a supposed series of government experiments at Camp Hero or Montauk Air Force Station on Long Island involving mind control, time travel, and contact with extraterrestrial beings. It's like something straight out of Stranger Things. The story goes that the government continued experiments started during the Philadelphia experiment, this time focusing on psychic abilities, manipulating the fabric of space-time, and even opening portals to other dimensions. Some even claim that homeless people were abducted and subjected to these horrific experiments. Proponents of the Montauk Project theory point to anecdotal evidence from people claiming to have witnessed or even participated in these experiments. They describe bizarre electromagnetic phenomena, strange creatures, and psychological torture. Of course, there's no official confirmation of any of this, and the government denies any involvement in such activities. But the Montauk Project remains a popular topic among conspiracy theorists, tapping into our deepest fears about government control and the unknown depths of human experimentation. Chapter 6. The CIA's shadowy hand, orchestrating assassinations. The CIA, shrouded in secrecy, operating in the shadows. But are they cold-blooded assassins? Some believe the agency has been involved in the deaths of numerous high-profile figures, eliminating threats to their agendas or covering up their own clandestine operations. Think about JFK's assassination. The Warren Commission concluded that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, but many people believe there was a second shooter, a conspiracy reaching the highest levels of power. Then there's Martin Luther King Jr., a powerful voice for civil rights silenced by an assassin's bullet. Was James Earl Ray a patsy manipulated by the CIA to eliminate a perceived threat? Proponents of this theory point to inconsistencies in official accounts, alleged connections between assassins and the CIA, and the agency's history of covert operations and regime change. They argue that the CIA has a long and dark history of eliminating those who stand in their way. Now, the CIA denies any involvement in these assassinations, and many people believe the official narratives. But the sheer number of high-profile deaths with suspicious circumstances continues to fuel speculation about the agency's true reach and power. After World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union engaged in a different kind of battle, a battle for the minds of the world's brightest scientists. Operation Paperclip was a secret program by the US intelligence community to recruit German scientists, engineers and technicians, many of whom were former Nazi Party members, and bring them to the United States. The goal was to harness their knowledge and expertise to gain an advantage in the Cold War. Over 1,600 German scientists were brought to the US, including Werner von Braun, a key figure in the development of the V-2 rocket program, who went on to become a pioneer of rocket technology and space exploration for the United States. Proponents of the conspiracy surrounding Operation Paperclip argue that the US government made a deal with the devil, prioritizing scientific advancement over moral accountability. They point to the ethical implications of employing former Nazis and the possibility that these scientists continued their research into unethical areas, such as mind control and biological weapons. The legacy of Operation Paperclip remains controversial to this day. While it's undeniable that the recruited scientists made significant contributions to American science and technology, the moral compromises made in the process continue to be debated. Chapter 8. The Roswell Incident. What crashed in the New Mexico desert? Roswell, New Mexico, 1947. A rancher discovers strange debris in his pasture, sparking rumors of a crashed flying disc. The Roswell incident quickly became a cornerstone of UFO lore, but what really happened? The official explanation was that the debris came from a downed weather balloon, but many believe it was something far more extraordinary. Witnesses reported seeing metallic wreckage, strange symbols, and even bodies of small humanoid creatures. The government's initial statement about a flying disc only fueled speculation, and despite later retractions and explanations, the Roswell incident continues to captivate the public imagination. Believers in the Roswell UFO crash theory point to inconsistencies in the government's story, alleged cover-ups, and eyewitness accounts of unusual phenomena. They argue that the government recovered an alien spacecraft and has been hiding the truth about extraterrestrial life ever since. Whether you believe in little green men or not, the Roswell incident remains one of the most enduring and debated UFO mysteries of all time. It's a story that taps into our fascination with the unknown and the possibility that we're not alone in the universe. Chapter 9. The Escape of Adolf Hitler. Did the Führer cheat justice? History tells us that Adolf Hitler committed suicide in his bunker as Soviet forces closed in on Berlin in 1945. But what if the most hated man in history escaped justice and lived out his days in hiding? The idea of Hitler surviving World War II has captivated conspiracy theorists for decades. Rumors persist of secret escape routes, clandestine submarine voyages to South America, and whispers of Hitler living out his days in Argentina under an assumed identity. Some even claim to have encountered him years after the war. Believers in this theory point to alleged sightings of Hitler, inconsistencies in the official account of his death, and the lack of conclusive physical evidence to prove he died in the bunker. They argue that the Allies, eager to move on from the horrors of the war, allowed him to escape. While the vast majority of historians dismiss these claims, the legend of Hitler's survival persists, a testament to the enduring power of conspiracy theories and the human desire to find alternative explanations for even the most well-documented historical events. Chapter 10. World War I, a calculated catastrophe. World War I, a conflict so devastating it was supposed to end all wars. But what if the Great War was not a tragic accident, but a meticulously planned conspiracy? Some theorists argue that powerful elites, motivated by greed and a lust for power, orchestrated the conflict to reshape the world in their image. Think about it. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the spark that ignited the powder keg, could have been orchestrated. The complex web of alliances, the rapid escalation of hostilities, the sheer scale of death and destruction, all point to a grand plan. Proponents of this theory argue that international bankers, industrialists, and secret societies manipulated events to profit from the war, seize control of resources, and establish a new world order. They point to the creation of the Federal Reserve and the League of Nations as evidence of a predetermined agenda. Now, this theory requires a massive leap of faith and ignores the complex interplay of historical forces that led to the war. But it's a chilling thought, isn't it, that the deaths of millions could have been orchestrated to benefit a select few. Outro, keep questioning everything. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Let us know in the comments which theory blew your mind the most. Remember, these are just theories, and it's up to each of us to do our own research and come to our own conclusions. But one thing's for sure, the world is a strange and mysterious place, and sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. Keep an open mind, question everything, and never stop exploring the edges of what we think we know. See you next time.